So this is the new Razer Orochi V2, and for those of you who are super fans of the G305, this $70 mouse is 100% worth taking a look at because, well, there's no easy way to say this, but it's just better than the G305 in almost every way. So the Orochi V2 comes in two main colors, black and white, and you can also pick up a fully customizable top shell at purchase for an additional $20. The entire shell of the mouse has a nice matte white finish, and the surface here has a slight texture to it that just feels absolutely amazing. It's probably the best feeling mouse I've used to date. Build quality is top notch, and dimensionally this mouse comes in with a length of 108 millimeters, height of 38 millimeters, and grip width of 60 millimeters. Towards the back of the shell, we have a nice clean Razer logo, and underneath the shell we find our battery compartment and storage spot for our included USB dongle. Battery alignment consists of either one AA or one AAA battery. You cannot use two batteries with this mouse. As Razer states, this mouse is designed to only house one battery at a time, so no adding an additional one to increase weight or increase the battery life overall. That said, battery life is going to vary heavily depending on a couple of factors, and at the top end you should get about 950 hours while using Bluetooth and 425 hours while using Razer's Hyperspeed wireless. You can also hit up Razer's website and they have a nifty application that'll let you estimate battery life based on your personal habits. Weight, of course, will also vary depending on the battery type you choose to use. The base weight of the mouse will be around 56 grams, and that's without the dongle or the battery within it. And then you'll need to add on 14 grams for a lithium AA battery, 8 grams for a lithium AAA battery, 23 grams for an alkaline AA battery, or 10 grams for an alkaline AAA battery. Moving to the bottom, we find the toggle switch between Bluetooth and Hyperspeed wireless. We get the 5G advanced optical sensor, and then we have three pretty nice 100% PFTE mouse feet. While these stock mouse feet are great and are light years ahead of what the G305 has, I will say I'm not convinced they are the best I've used to date. They're certainly pretty close, but I do think that the Rocket Cone Pro Air currently has the crown for that. Back on top, triggers 1 and 2 are great all around. We find very little side-to-side play and minor pre and post travel on both buttons. The clicks here are Razer's new 2nd gen mechanical switches, and these guys are rated for 60 million clicks. At first, I was actually hoping to see a new iteration to Razer's optical switch here, but honestly, after using this mouse, I can't really complain as they come with a slight bump to their rated lifespan, which is awesome, and they also feel and sound great. The scroll wheel has a rubber texture that feels solid overall. It's easy to scroll with and has a nice tactile bump while scrolling as well. It doesn't have side scrolling, which kind of is a bummer for productivity work, but seeing as this is a gaming mouse first, I don't really have an issue with it here. Behind that, we find our DPI button, which feels decent and works as intended. While I usually don't use this button often, I would rather have it up top versus on the bottom of the mouse. On the left-hand side, we have a slight groove for your thumb, and above that, two side buttons that are placed pretty well. The side buttons feel great and sound pretty good and have basically no pre and post travel as well. So on the software side of things, we have Razer Synapse 3 software to work with. It's the same clutter program you know and love, but within it, you have a variety of options to customize your mouse to your liking. This includes customizing what each button does, changing the mouse's DPI, as well as changing the mouse's pulling rate. Unfortunately, I didn't see any settings to tweak the lift-off distance, and while there's the hypershift feature that's supposed to provide you like a second set of programmable buttons, I kind of find this feature absolutely useless as you can't set the modifier to a key on your keyboard rather than a key or a button on your mouse. I don't really see how somebody could effectively press, say, the DPI button and another button at the same time to utilize this feature. I just feel like it would be really strange and just awkward to do. Now, I imagine if you had a Razer keyboard, you could probably do this in Synapse, but I haven't been able to confirm it because I don't actually have a Razer keyboard at all. It would have been nice to see Razer allow you to just set a keyboard modifier, whichever one you want, Control, Shift, Alt, whatever it might be, so that it would just work with any keyboard out there. The last thing worth mentioning about the software is support for pairing two Razer devices, one mouse and one keyboard, to the included Hyperspeed multi-device dongle. As of making this video, there are only a few devices along with the Orochi V2 that are actually compatible with this dongle, but of course Razer will likely expand that list as time goes on. Unfortunately, I actually don't have those devices in-house, so I actually can't test out this feature. Regardless, pairing seems to be super simple with the pairing utility built into the Synapse software, but again, I can't test it unless Razer, decided to hit me up with the new Black Widow V3. I got a really long name, Mini Hyperspeed. Just so you guys know, as of right now, I don't have any affiliation with Razer. I'm just like dreaming a little bit here. Anyway, you also don't need to use the Synapse software if you don't like it. The Orochi V2 has onboard memory, which is cool. And so you can save your profiles directly to it and close out of the program completely if you'd like to. You can actually uninstall it if you wanted to, but you know, again, onboard memory here, which is sweet. Now let's dive into performance a little bit. So right off the rip, this mouse is absolutely awesome when it comes to performance. I personally am biased towards a nice ergo mouse like the Kone Pro Air or the G502. And this, as we all know, is an egg-shaped mouse. It's a faux symmetrical mouse, but I feel it's insanely comfortable to use, which is rare for me. It's quick, it's snappy, and the only complaint I actually have here is the lack of a USB extension cable for the dongle. Now, to be clear, the range is pretty good, but when we're talking about gaming performance, especially competitive game performance, having the dongle as close as possible is really, really important. Plugging the dongle into the back IO of your motherboard, there are a ton of signal interference going on, is not going to give you the best performance possible, and at $70, I don't think it would have killed Razer to throw in an extension brick of some sort. As for Bluetooth, it also works really well. Now, again, I wouldn't recommend using it for gaming unless it's lighter titles like Stardew Valley, but it's a nice feature here for those of you guys who switch between gaming and productivity and you want your battery life to last a super long time, or you just plan on using your mouse with your PC at home and then you also have a laptop on the go that you want to use it with. So Bluetooth's a nice feature to have here. And so the Orochi V2 is a great $70 mouse. It has great performance. The design is top notch and the feel of it is overall incredible. It's absolutely no brainer for those of you guys who like the egg shape that it is, but it's definitely not without flaws. As far as I could tell at this point in time, the customizable shells that I mentioned earlier are only purchasable when you order the mouse, which is kind of strange because what if you want to, swap it out for a different style every so often, right? I assume that Razer is probably working on a system to let you purchase them separately, but I haven't spoken to them, so I'm not absolutely sure on that. It's also pretty small of a mouse, which could be an issue for some of you guys who have larger hands. And then we also have the price tag. So the Orochi V2 is without a doubt clearly taking aim at the Logitech G305. And while it's better than it in basically every scenario, it also should be because it's a bit more expensive than it too. Over the past year, the G305 has been on sale for as low as $35 and as much as $60, while on average, I'd say it sits around the $40 price point pretty often, according to Camel. For reference, that's between 14 and 50% less expensive than this guy right here, the Orochi V2. So for me, while Razer is directly targeting the G305 with the release of this mouse at the $70 price point, I feel it's kind of a reach. It's kind of like a 6'8" basketball player dunking on an average middle school basketball player. It's just not a fair comparison in my eyes. In a few months, if the Orochi starts to go on sale for around $50 to $60, I could definitely see a case where we need to revisit this criticism I'm making right now. But for now, I feel like this is a more premium, more expensive version of the G305, a mouse that sits next to the G305 rather than just taking over for it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out today. Let me know what you guys think of the Orochi V2 down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.